Ron Howard says Star Wars trolls were to blame for Solo's box office failure. That is the headline on this week's Force Friday show. And Stephen, as I did say, Ron Howard has come out, and I think this perhaps could be the first time that the great director has discussed the lackadaisical, the crap performance, for want of a better word, of Star Wars, and obviously it's flopping at the box office. Do you agree with him? Is it Star Wars trolls who were to blame, or is it a little bit more complicated than that?
We'll go back then. We'll go back in time, John, to that period between January and May of last year. Basically, what I'm saying is, after The Last Jedi, there was such a Scottish word coming up, stramash,
Yes.
between the fandom and Lucasfilm at the time.
Kathleen Kennedy.
Yes, and Ryan Johnson.
I went to town on her in all those audio shows.
I always felt that they shouldn't have. I think they said too much in regards to man babies, etc. I just felt that that time the whole fandom was poison. Everything about it, and that was always the come down from that film, Episode 8, and what a lot of fans got out of that, or didn't get out of that film, and it overspilled into the somewhat poor promotion of Solo. I say that because I don't think the film was pushed enough. I think they knew they'd committed to it. It was announced, it was already filmed, it was reshot, new director coming in. They couldn't really go back on it. They spent millions and millions of dollars making this film. They couldn't get out of this, and basically they were forcing this one out at the very end in May, or in the middle of May, sorry. Ron Howard, I would partly agree with him. I think there was a lot of trolling at that point on social media, etc., targeting Kathleen Kennedy, targeting Ryan Johnson, targeting some of the actors from The Last Jedi as well. The whole thing was just absolute poison at the time. So I did think that did have an effect. So I do agree to him to an extent. We spoke about this in the audio shows, John, back in the day.
We did indeed.
About the timing of this film's release as well was a bad idea, going back to the May slot. It should have been a Christmas release. I understand Mary Poppins Returns was coming out that December. I don't think the same fandom would have watched that Mary Poppins film and Solo, A Star Wars Story. And
do you think that they would have moved one of the saga movies to accommodate a Mary Poppins movie? Not a chance in hell.
Of course
not a chance. No. So that shows you the complete lack of disrespect, or the respect that they paid to the Solo movie.
As well. They didn't really have faith in it.
No, they didn't. No. And that was because of just also the carnage behind the scenes with obviously Lord and Miller, Stephen, being sacked weeks away from production.
I'll make it clear though, John. I'll make it clear. I like Solo as a Star Wars film. I enjoyed it. I've seen it a couple of times since I went to the cinema to see it. Saw it obviously on Blu-ray when it came out. And I think it's a fun adventure. It's actually what Star Wars was all about.
It's harking back to the original space opera.
I do agree. I agree with Ron Howard partly that a lot of the fandom, or trolls as he likes to call them, did have an effect on that film's feel good. Unfortunately, it suffered.
Yeah, Stephen, basically what he said is that obviously it was noticeable prior to the release of the movie. Several of the algorithms on the likes of Metacritic and Rotten Tomatoes were showing signs of an inordinate push down on the want to see sort of scores and on fan voting. So there was an element, or a sizable proportion of the fan base were completely against Disney and Lucasfilm's direction and the handling of Star Wars at that point. Some would say they still are, and they also went out and showed their rage and their displeasure at what the way the characters were being handled, and obviously Kathleen Kennedy's tenureship as obviously the producer and the overseer of Lucasfilm, president of Lucasfilm, and they manifested that by marking down the film.
I was actually going to say, John, that this could have happened to any Star Wars film, but I don't think it would have. I think if it was an Obi-Wan film, it probably wouldn't have had the same kind of reaction. Solo was a film that no one really wanted, no one really needed. I don't know what the idea behind it was. I don't know if this was an idea by Lucasfilm to soften the blow of the killing of Han Solo in The Force Awakens to try and appease the fans. Don't worry, we're going to be making a standalone film with a new actor. Yeah, and I don't know what the reasonings for it was, but it was a film that nobody wanted. If perhaps it was maybe an Obi-Wan film, or Knights of the Old Republic. I don't know, just off the top of my head, or something like yeah. Oh yeah, I thought something like that. The two-headed commentator from the pod race.
Yeah.
I think if it was something that people wanted, it might have did a bit better. But I think there was a lot going on in that sort of April, May, June time as well, Deadpool with other releases. Yeah,
Avengers: Infinity War.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stephen, briefly touching upon personally, I agree with everything you said. I think you're absolutely bang on. I don't think it was solely down to trolls. I think that's just a little bit simplistic, black and white from Ron. I think, as you did say, it was the release slot. The May release was totally wrong. That is the Avengers, Disney, Marvel slot.
What was the thing with the merchandising as well, John?
Yeah. Disney, essentially, Bob Iger and the people involved high up at Disney weren't wanting to push the merchandise and the promotion for Solo because it was going to cannibalise on Infinity Wars
says it all,
merchandise and hits promotion and also hits box office taken. So, as you said, they had no faith in this movie, Steve, and after the nonsense behind the scenes, Ron Howard having to come in and save the movie, that manifested itself. Yeah, exactly. That manifested itself in the promotion, cannibalising and just completely disrupting the merchandising. But as you did say, the May release completely wrong. That is not the time for Star Wars now. That's the time for Marvel. Star Wars is now Disney, December. That's the slot they should be utilising. That they made that their own with the release of The Force Awakens and Rogue One. So it was down to that, Stephen. It was down to a degree in terms of to the fans with just their displeasure, essentially hitting out at the Star Wars movie. Harley agrees with me. He's a big fan of Solo as well. He loves Chewbacca, so he completely agrees. But Stephen, it's just a whole amalgamation of different reasons. Fan backlash, poor time slot for the film to come out. Complete mishandling of it by the studio executives at Disney, and as you did say, it was a movie which by and large people weren't really wanting. There was no need for a Solo movie. We've already seen the backstory of a young Han Solo. We didn't need it to be retold. Quite ironic though that now that it's come out, it's been a flop. I actually did enjoy it as well, Stephen, and I would have loved to have seen the continuing adventures of a young Han Solo.
There is this push for a
Donald Glover's
a sequel, isn't it?
Yeah. Donald Glover's Lando and Kira, and how she fits in with this. The mall and the crime syndicate and whatnot. I'd love to see the story continue, but it's not going to happen now because of, obviously, as I did say, just a whole cluster fuck, as you'd like to say. I have to swear, sorry. There's no other way of saying it, of different things and scenarios just going against it essentially and causing it to flop. Didn't help that it had a $275 million budget, so it was doomed to fail in the end, Stephen. But we're going to move on, Stephen, to another slightly sad note, and it's all about Return.
Depressing show so far.
Yeah, depressing show. Return of the Jedi is the saddest Star Wars movie, thanks to Disney in brackets, says Screen Rant. And I have to say, Stephen, I agree. They've went through a whole myriad of reasons as to why this is the case. First and foremost, it's the last time that we got to see the original heroes together. We never get to see the holy trinity of Han Solo, Princess Leia and one Luke Skywalker back on the screen again together in the Star Wars galaxy. So that's the primary reason. The other reasons are the sequel trilogy has emphasised the tragedy of Anakin Skywalker, just his everlasting legacy with how it's impacted his daughter and his son, and obviously his grandson thereafter. He's essentially turned to the dark side. He's obsessed with his grandfather and finishing what he started. Then to say, despite the rebellion beating obviously the Galactic Empire at the end of the Return of the Jedi, it was ultimately in vain because evil rises and returns again in the sequel trilogy in the form of the First Order. So that is the primary reason, Stephen. The three reasons they're saying it's the saddest story of all. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do, because I thought Return of the Jedi had the perfect ending to a fantastic trilogy. I said to you before we come on as well, John, there's a shot with Han Solo embracing Princess Leia on Endor when they're celebrating, and the sheer relief in the actor's or the character's face that it's all over, that they conquered.
I think that was actually him manifesting.
It could have been Harrison Ford just saying, that's my contract
done.
Ran down, you know.
Wow.
But Luke's, you know, just looking on to the Force ghosts of Anakin, Obi-Wan and Yoda as well was so pleasing to see as well. Just the reactions, the facial reactions of the main three, essentially, just that they conquered all the odds against the massive thing that was the Empire, and
Chief Palpatine.
Just everything about it, you know, the passing of Yoda, the passing of Anakin, Luke, you know, not remembering his mother, that kind of thing. all those things. It was such it had a lot of soul to it. I know it does get a lot of flack for the whole Ewok thing and stuff like that, John, but
I didn't mind it.
If you've got to look beyond that and see what some of the best scenes in any Star Wars films was in that throne room with the Emperor, Vader and Luke. Just the tension in there, the manipulation from the Emperor as well, played by the great Ian McDiarmid. Just everything about it. That was always, take us back to December 2015, we meet up with Kevin at his house. His house is like a 5-minute walk away from the cinema.
Yep.
Kevin is absolutely nervous as hell.
Been up all night.
Into this. He's been up all night and he actually said something that's stuck with me. What if they ruin it? And to be fair, The Force Awakens didn't ruin it. It didn't ruin it. Apart from obviously Han's death, but
no matter what they did, Stephen, there was always a degree of ruining what was there.
I think this article highlights it's nothing to do with the standard of the sequel trilogy's quality. Yeah. It's nothing to do with that. It didn't matter how good the films, these sequel films were. It was always going to reflect on the last episode, and because of the time gap as well, we were all that conditioned to be. This was the final chapter of the Star Wars trilogy at the time, back in 1983, and even after the prequels came out, this was always the concluding chapter or episode. It was done. So that was always my concerns back in 2013, I think, when it was announced. They were doing episode 7, and I always thought, how are they not going to do this without ruining episode 6?
It's impossible, and that's what I was saying, Stephen. Just the fact it was a continuation of the saga story, the Skywalker story. It was always going to reflect badly on that original trilogy. As you did say, it bookended that 2-part trilogy perfectly. Obviously at that point it was just one trilogy, but George always had it in his mind for a prequel story, setting up how Anakin rose and then how he ultimately fell and then he was redeemed at the end by his son. So it was bookended beautifully. So no matter what they did, it was always going to be bittersweet for the Return of the Jedi. But you're absolutely right, Stephen. It had some soul to it. Ewoks aside, just all these different threads coming to an end. The conclusion of Yoda, Luke eventually becoming a sort of a Jedi master figure, shaking off the darkness, which was also haunting them from The Empire Strikes Back.
C-3PO becoming a god.
C-3PO becoming a god, yes. Han and Leia finally getting together at the end. Yeah. They were all the gang were together dancing.
Billy D was clapping out of sync.
Billy D was clapping out of sync. The fall of the evil Sheev Palpatine and the Galactic Empire. It was a great uplifting ending. And then ultimately it's all been ruined because, as they do say, Luke's plot ultimately at his arc amounted to nothing. He was a bit of a failure, Stephen, let's be honest. He went off to try and rejuvenate and restart the Jedi, obviously, order with his own academy, and it ended very, very badly. Anakin Skywalker's legacy ultimately led to the rise of Ben Solo, aka Kylo Ren. So it was all bittersweet, this saga, this sequel trilogy, and then the ending, it's obviously going to reflect that, Stephen. We can only but hope that J.J. Abrams will find some way to redeem it all and have it finish on a happy, uplifting note, which does credit to the Skywalker saga, does credit to the late Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker, Han Solo. He didn't die for nothing. Hopefully they can do something to perhaps honour him, bring his son back in some way to the light, I'm praying, and then perhaps it will change for the perspective on Return of the Jedi. Maybe if they end this sequel trilogy in a nice manner, a nice, concise way, Stephen, then it will become a happy ending once again. Who knows? I doubt it though, because they're just completely shit over the top of it, let's be honest. I said to you, Stephen, before I move on, back in the day, I was delighted that they were redoing Star Wars, but I really didn't want them to touch the saga trilogy because there's no way you can end it better than The Return of the Jedi. It's impossible. No. It's absolutely impossible. And that is going to be reflected, Stephen, on the next topic, but I'll let you in first.
I was just going to say, John, I don't think that Lucasfilm, after Disney takeover, would have had the balls to do an independent Star Wars film that was away from the saga as their first film. No. I don't think they would have done that. No, but Stephen, as I did say, fighting on the original Star Wars from a great height. No better is this summed up than in the next topic. That's a trap.
It's a trap where Star Wars' Admiral Ackbar's actor, if I can say that correctly, was reduced to tears after the iconic character's disappointing Last Jedi role. I would argue that iconic, the use of iconic, that is stretching it quite a bit. He says that he was quite looking forward to maybe them giving him something more juicy, but ultimately it all ended in tears because they basically says they gave him a medal.
Fish tears.
Fish tears. They gave him a medal with the date of the death, his demise, and then got him to say it's a wrap.
Yeah, talk about rubbing it in.
Yeah, rubbing it in. Stephen, do you agree with the handling? Do you agree with the character? Do you feel for the character of, I believe, Tim Rose? He was a puppeteer, he wasn't a character.
Yeah. I mean, he obviously had first-hand knowledge of what was happening.
Yeah.
My second-hand knowledge
was an iconic character?
Sitting in Starbucks at the end of the film asking, when did he die? Because it totally went over my head. I forgot all about him. I didn't realise he was in the movie. I'd also go as far as saying, actually, Admiral Raddus, I think.
Raddus, yeah.
Had a more pivotal,
Yeah.
point in the whole thing.
He powered the plot on.
Yeah, and
he brought down the shield generator
dialogue as well.
Yeah.
But I don't know about being devastated. I mean, obviously it's a personal thing for him. It didn't bother me, to be honest with you. I think you've got to remember that this happened at the same time Leia was sucked out into space as well. So that's going to overshadow anybody else's sort of death, if you know what I mean, if you're looking at it from a bigger picture. But what was the guy's name?
Tim Rose, sorry. Tim Rose, it's not Tim Roth, no.
Tim Rose, no.
Yeah, Tim Rose.
I know that he did a few puppets on the original trilogy as well, I do know that.
Yeah, Stephen, you've got a story about him, haven't you? Is it the same guy?
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think it is, John.
This is a great story. But Stephen, I'll briefly, while you're getting it up, I will briefly give my thoughts. I don't agree that he was an iconic character.
No.
I says to you, when we were reading these articles prior to recording the show here, you just have to look at the way Boba Fett went out. He went out with a complete chump's death. He bounced off of the sail barge like a fool down into the Great Sarlacc Pit. He died without essentially doing anything of real note. He was arguably a more iconic character in terms of looks than Admiral Ackbar. He's famed for saying it's a trap and that's it. He's a glorified lobster. I didn't really mourn his demise. I didn't think there was a need for him to be in there.
No.
And as you did say, there's no way you can do the great, some would say the Mary Poppins scene. I'm going to run that back, it wasn't great. There's no way you can do that scene with Carrie Fisher's Leia out in space and somehow shoehorn in something about Ackbar. It's impossible.
No. She could have tried to save him though.
She could have tried. You were right, Stephen.
Yeah.
Typical Anakin Skywalker.
Selfishness.
Selfish,
yeah. But listen, this article, John, kind of ties in with what you're saying. This was take us back to Return of the Jedi.
This is great.
The unfreezing of Han Solo from the carbonite in Jabba's palace. You all remember the scene. There's a kiss. The curtains open. All the characters are sort of they're kind of out of focus, but you know who they all are, and they're all laughing.
Salacious.
Apparently, they were laughing that loud, upset Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford said to the director, could you make these puppet actors maybe quiet it down because I don't want to do, what's it called, ADR?
ADR, additional dialogue.
He doesn't want to do the dubbing, basically. Doesn't want to do that. So, director had a little word in their ear. Didn't realise that, I think the Tim Rose guy was actually under the sort of
platform,
performing Salacious Crumb. He was mic'd up at the time. Didn't realise that Harrison Ford would hear what he was about to say. He said, would you mind telling Harrison...
This Harrison
guy, if he can maybe stop talking while we're laughing, our laughing scene. This upset Harrison Ford. He wanted him fired. I thought it was hilarious.
He walked off the set.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really know too much about the guy. I knew he was a puppeteer. I knew his involvement in the original trilogy, but it's just one of those nice little stories, and I would have loved to have saw Harrison Ford's face.
Yeah, that is an absolutely epic story, Stephen, just the fact that he's been caught on mic. Yeah. And it's upset Harrison that much that he's been off the set and refused to come back until this guy responsible was fired. And just the fact that it was eating this guy up, this Tim Rose guy, right up until The Force Awakens, when he was in a suit, he wanted to go and apologise to Harrison Ford, and he couldn't get out the suit and do it. And as you said, Harrison's probably moved on. Won't even remember it.
Or I would have said, why are you still employed by Lucasfilm?
Yeah, exactly.
I told them to sack you.
Told them to sack you. I'm the great Harrison Ford. You should have been sacked, bitch. But look at that, you rest, Stephen.
Ball.
Yeah, we have done Tim Rose and Ackbar to the death. We are going to move on to Star Wars executives shooting down the latest rumour about Han Solo and Rey, all about Rey's lineage again. Good Lord, I really do hope we settle this in The Rise of Skywalker so we can just be done with it. it's part of me hopes it is just drunks lying in a pauper's grave on Jakku.
I'm beyond caring.
I'm beyond caring. I hope Kylo's telling the truth, because I really don't give a shit at this stage. But I digress, Stephen. There's been a rumour going around, doing the rounds, that Rey could be the daughter of Han. And I think it's Pablo Hidalgo who's come out and says that wouldn't marry up at all. He says that doesn't fit with the timeline. Han and Leia were together up until about 5 years prior or before The Force Awakens, when it all went to hell, and Rey's 19. So that would make her 14 years prior to that. She'd have been 14 when they split. Yep. So, I don't know if that would have worked.
There's some mad theories out there, John. One of them kind of ties in with that thing that's on this article, that Rey and Kylo are actually twins, and to save one of them, they shipped one away. You wouldn't do that when they're 4 years old. You'd have done that when they're babies. If they did that, then we'd be saying just copying, what already happened in episode 3.
Some would say that would be right though, because JJ essentially copied everything that happened in the original 3 films.
JJ Abrams must have had some idea where he wanted to go with this. He must have. I don't think he was just setting us up for the, Rian Johnson and Colin Trevorrow.
Under the bus.
For them to sort this out. It must have had some kind of idea. You get that shot of Han Solo looking at Rey in a kind of sympathetic way, as if he knows where she's came from, what she's been through. I think it's when she was arriving. Yeah,
she says she's never seen so much green before.
Yeah, and he kind of had this look at us. I don't. Maybe he's just feeling sorry for her. I don't know. But why add that in? I don't know.
I don't know. Perhaps he may have just seen something of himself in her, Stephen. He's seen that sort of a roguishness, maverick in her. And he also hands her the gun and says...
He did take to her, to be fair, and I think a character like Han Solo, he's not really got a lot of time for people, unless they've got some use for him, you know.
I just don't see how it would work, Stephen. I don't see how Leia wouldn't have recognised her own daughter. Had that connection. She is, of course, strong in the Force. She would have sensed that this was her daughter. Certainly Luke would have sensed that she was some connection, and he asked her time and again, who are you?
I know.
So it doesn't make any sense, So no, it doesn't work, and I'm glad Pablo has shot it down. I've said it time and again, Stephen, I firmly believe that Rey has been buffed from the Force like Anakin Skywalker. She's been buffed perhaps by Sheev Palpatine once again, or maybe it's just been Snoke continuing on this buffing of the Force, and that is where we see the connection with the Skywalker lineage, because the Skywalker lineage started with the buffing of Anakin Skywalker through the Force. And that's why she has such a strong calling to his Anakin's lightsaber, and obviously she's kind of a tapping into their past with all of that montage in The Force Awakens and Maz Kanata's castle.
I think the quote and the explanation is pretty weak though. It is quite a simplistic reply about the math involved.
Yeah, I mean it could still work.
Exactly, John. There's a lot of holes in that. Yeah,
definitely, Stephen. But look, I hope it just gets ended one way or the other in the next movie, and we can move on and just get over it one way or the other. I don't care who she really is at this stage. I'd have loved to have been Luke's daughter, but she's not, and that's just life. But we're going to move on, Stephen, and finish a note on finish the show, I should say, on a slightly more uplifting note. It's all about Disney's new Galaxy Edge, obviously section of their park, and they've unveiled a whole host of photos, but there's some other interconnected little tidbits coming out of this, Stephen, just about costumes not being able to be worn by people over 14, and just the great attention to detail.
People over 14 shouldn't really wear costumes.
They shouldn't, no, Stephen, but you see it time and again with cosplayers and whatnot. And also there's another little bit I'll get into, Stephen, but what do you make of this? Obviously we will never probably get to go here, Stephen, depending on whether we win the lottery perhaps or whatnot. So certain people like Christian.
Or our producers send other people. But I liked the video, John. I did like the video from Dinsey. I thought this was just it's a typo.
This is the Daily Star. This is the standard of obviously writing over here in our publications.
Disney that is. The video as well, John, kind of takes you through. It's like a walkthrough of sort of landscape of the park, the sheer size of it. You're getting to see what happens in the cockpit. It looks like kind of a VR type thing going on. The mechanics move with the screen and that. I'd love that. All these interesting characters just mingling.
Would you be riding shotgun though? Or would you want to helm the controls of the Falcon? Part of me would like to be Chewbacca.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I just want to channel my inner Jonas Sutamo.
The mingling of these characters that they're putting in place as well, John. I think adds to the sort of feel and the look of this world. You said about the score as well. They've actually composed brand new scores for
specifically for the park.
Yeah, I think that's amazing.
It's incredible.
Some of the photographs as well. I've seen some of them. That one with the Falcon's amazing. I just think that captures the whole thing. I don't actually know what the actual world's called. Has it actually got a name?
Yeah, Christ, Stephen.
If you don't have it, so
I think it's
Batu.
Batu. Black Spire Outpost.
But maybe one day we'll get to go there, John. Obviously, we're in a very inconvenient place called the United Kingdom. It really would be a once-in-a-lifetime experience for guys like ourselves. But who knows? Maybe France will have it in the Euro, doesn't it? I doubt it very much because this thing costs a bomb as well. But
I think if we're going to introduce
the climate as well, you know, it's a bit wet over here at the best of times.
Yeah, I think if they'll introduce it to another park, I believe there's a Disneyland World in China.
A Dindsey,
a Dindsey, in China. So with the growing prominence of the fan base over there, I think we'll see it perhaps being introduced over there before it comes to Europe. But Stephen, you're absolutely right. Just the attention to detail of the sets, the costume design, just everything, the music, it is simply stunning. I would go just to drink the blue milk and find out what the hell it tastes like. Is it authentic to Aunt Beru's own recipe? Because I would love to hear what that crazy overdubbed creature, what she did with the blue milk.
Yoda stew as well.
Yoda stew. I've always wanted to try the Dagobah stew.
Yeah.
It's lamb, apparently. Not lamb in the actual universe of Star Wars, but lamb goes into our interpretation of it.
Yeah.
Luke didn't like it. I'm pretty sure I would. I'm a firm lover of lamb, as you do know, Stephen. Tried Cliff Tikka and Crete and whatnot back in the day, a long time ago. But Stephen, I'm giving it away. It's a fantastic experience by all accounts for a Star Wars fan. I would love to go. As you did say, it'd be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. We don't have any falling outs with executives not sending us, like a certain Christian Harloff. Completely agree with Christian though. Why he's so butthurt? The guy's worked his balls off for 5 years, given us a great show, and he's not been sent, so I'd be the same as Christian. And he's not a misogynistic yet it's anti-female, so whoever wrote that is an absolute bullshitter. But Stephen, briefly before we move on and end it, as I did say, Jedi robes, self-explanatory really. You can't wear any costumes in any Disney theme park if you're over the age of 14, because, quite frankly, there is too many paedophiles out there who want to fire into young children, and you can't have that connection with any differentiation. You need to differentiate between employees of a park and just random dodgy beasts coming about and trying to do snum the fairy shrink. So there's no story there to really touch upon that. That's self-explanatory. The final thing that I will touch upon though is just, I've accidentally clicked down the article, but the various different characters who are the actors who are coming onto the park and playing roles, and just the detail. You can walk over and you can interact with them, and they'll take you into like little recesses and make you part of the story and fill you in. It's just the attention to detail. I think it's Leia's personal sort of...
Take you into little recesses and fill you in.
Yes.
I think you should end the show, John.
Yeah. Yes, but it's incredible, Stephen. That's what I'll end on. It's just incredible, the detail. Hopefully one day we will get to go. I will not wear any robes because I am not one of those dodgy gits. I will just admire the experience from afar while getting tore into some blue milk. But look, Stephen, we will end on that note before I dig myself down into another Anthony Daniels trench. Not a rabbit hole, because I keep saying that and I really have to stop saying it. What did you guys make of the various different topics we spoke about on this week's show? Did you agree about the Return of the Jedi being a sombre note? Do you agree with Ron Howard? Was it trolls, or was it a whole amalgamation of different things? What's your thoughts on Galaxy Edge? Let us know down in the comments section below if you feel compelled to do so. Like the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you want to get more content like this. And we'll be back next Monday with MBE Box Office.